Kia ora, welcome back to the Starting in Te Reo Māori channel. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at the kupu, the word Poro, which means prism. And we're going to look at different types of prisms. And then we're going to look at some real life examples of prisms, you know, the practical use of the word Poro. So let's jump across to the screen share. Firstly, we're looking at the word Poro, which has a number of different meanings, but what we're focusing on is prism. Here's the definition from 𝐼𝐸dictionary.𝐶𝐻, prism, and then there's an example down the bottom here. So what are prisms? I'll go through these examples, but a prism is these shapes up here. Prisms are three-dimensional. Prisms are what you can call an extruded shape. So you can see that this is a triangle shape that's then extruded, and then it's got the exact same triangle shape at the end. We've got a square here, a rectangle that's extruded out. You've got a rectangle at the end. You've got a triangle here that's extruded out. Then you've got a triangle at the other end. So an example of what is not a prism would be like a pyramid shape. A pyramid is not a shape that's then extruded and has the same shape at the other end. Pyramid's got a point at the top. And I've also recently learned that cylinders are not prisms either. So this is what we're looking at. We're looking at prisms and these types of shapes. And what I've got on the screen here are different examples from 𝐼𝐸dictionary.𝐶𝐻. Poro koata, poro auto, poro kere, poro whakapapa. So you can see that all these kupu have poro at the start. So poro, I guess, being the definition for a prism, and then there's some sort of descriptive word at the end of it. So koata being related to glass, auto being magnetic, kere being related to the earth and ground, whakapapa being related to ice, poro huapata, muesli bar, huapata being related to muesli, poro rako, a block of wood or wooden blocks, poro kapaiti or kapiti, Lego, so blocks that connect to one another. And I think what you'll notice is that the second words here and then the definition of the thing that we're talking about, they're all prisms in their own right. Like, I wouldn't use this for, say, a box. Like, you could say a square box or a rectangular box is kind of the shape of a prism, but the box itself has alternate functions, so to speak. Whereas all of these examples, it's everything that is in that word. For instance, magnet, a block magnet that's, you know, a rectangular prism shape, that's all it is. It's defined as a magnet, and that's all it is. It doesn't do anything else like a box or something, or like a popper, for instance. A popper, you know, the things that you put in your lunchbox. A popper is a prism, but it has another function. It's got a box, it's got liquid, you drink out of it. So I don't think it really fits within how poro is used to define different types of prisms. Go to the next page. So what else can take poro? These are some examples that I've just thought of off the top of my head. These are examples of things that have prism shapes, and they meet that sort of definition of only having a single purpose, a single form, a single use. So the first one is chocolate, tiakarete, poro tiakarete, chocolate bar. And that's very similar to the last example here where we looked at huapata. Poro huapata being a muesli bar. And I'm saying here poro tiakarete rete being a chocolate bar. Soap, we often say hopi for soap, you know, hopi meaning soap. And what I've done here is poro hopi, a bar of soap. So getting a little bit more distinct on the bar of soaps that no one likes using anymore because they're a bit gross. Everyone uses liquid soap, but poro hopi for a bar of soap. Butter, now you've probably used this kupu before, butter, very generic. And I've said here, poro butter, to add a little bit more context to that, to say a stick of butter. Butter can come in many different forms, but you go to the supermarket and you buy a block of butter. It comes in a little square prism shape, much like I'm going to say this one here. Those blocks of butter. So that might be a way to add more context to butter. Poro butter. And the last one here, I know that there's other kupu for battery, but electricity, hiko, poro hiko. Now I said before that a circular prism or a cylinder is not actually a prism, so this wouldn't be the circular batteries like the AA ones. This would be more like the 9-volt batteries. And I know there's other kupu for batteries, but poro hiko would make sense in that instance. Now, something else that came up on this screen here is poro mata ono, rectangular prism. Poro for prism, mata meaning a face or a side, ono, tahi, rua, toru, wha, rima, ono, 6. A 6-faced prism. So if we think of this one here, a rectangular prism, it's got 4 around the outside and then 2 on the ends. That's 6. So interesting, poro, a prism, and the descriptor of it is that it's got 6 faces. And I've got another example down here, which is poro tapa ono, which means a hexagonal prism. So we're looking at these two here, poro mata ono, poro tapa ono. So they both say 6, both say ono, but there's a difference in the tapa and the mata. Mata meaning face, tapa meaning side. Poro tapa ono is a hexagonal prism. And here it's not talking about every side on the prism, it's just talking about the sides of the shape that's then been extruded. Poro tapa ono, so a prism with 6 sides, and poro mata ono, a prism with 6 faces. And the same would be true for other examples of prisms with a hexagonal shape, a 5-sided, 3-sided, 7-sided, 8-sided prism shape there. The same would be true, so you could expand that out into to coming up with different examples there. I've got the example of mata here, meaning a surface or a face, and that's what we're talking about here. And tapa, I should have put that on there, but tapa meaning sides. You might have heard of te whare tapa wha, the 4-sided whare in some contexts. So that's a bit of a look into poro, a bit of a look into prisms, bit of a boring subject, bit of a nerdy subject, but there's what I really wanted to get out of this was the real life examples. Poro huapata. Huapata meaning muesli. Poro is the actual shape. And the thing to take out of that, it's not just something that's in the shape of these prisms here, but something that has its entire, I guess, identity built up into that shape. So my example was a popper. You probably wouldn't use poro for because it's a box, it has a drink in it, it has liquid, you can drink it, all of those sorts of things. Where a bar magnet, that's the only thing it is. Whakapapa or poro whakapapa, ice block, that's it. It's just a block of ice. What's another one? Poro kapiti. The Lego blocks, that's all they are, and they connect to one another. So I hope you've learned something from this lesson. It's short, it's a little bit detailed, probably a little bit different to something that you've seen before, but I'm hoping you can take something away from this and find something that you can use practically in real life. Kia ora.